So when we were at the summit and we did talk about mental health, did you hit a wall, and did that have to do with the haters? Did it have to do with just content creation being really rigorous?
Honestly, I hit a wall just in general. Definitely a lot of the pressure came from the social media. It kind of amplified everything. But all throughout my childhood and growing up, there's a lot of shit that I've been through. Like, a lot of stuff that I don't know if there's one day that I'll talk about it, because it's still, like, I'm kind of processing it to this day, because it all felt so normal to me as a kid. I'm like, everything that I was going through. But now, really, this past year, I realized, none of this was normal at all. Because there was stuff that I knew that was already pretty fucked up that I'd been through.
Okay.
But then it was really, like, realizing it, and I just kept everything so bottled up, because even when I was going to, like, therapy and counseling as a kid and just different stuff, my thought process was I didn't want to talk about any of it. So I would just say what I thought that they wanted to hear so that I could get out of there.
You
and
masked.
stop. Yeah. So then I got so used to it, and I'm like, I'm fine. Nothing can affect me. That's kind of still how I feel to a certain extent, but also, like, keeping that bottled up for so long, it got to a point where in November, I was like, I need to go check into a mental hospital. Like, I was not doing too good. And luckily, I had friends that were able to help me and get me over there. But I just went and checked in. And I'm really happy that I did, because obviously I needed to be safe and be somewhere where nothing was going to happen. The mental hospital sucked. The patients were nicer than the staff. But still happy that I went, because I needed to.
Yeah. I wonder what it's like. I wonder what the difference is like in mental hospitals here versus in Canada, because the healthcare is so different.
It's so hard. From my understanding, it's really hard to get into them in Canada. Even, like, it's really hard to get healthcare for anything in Canada, because even though it's so public, but especially mental health care, there's wait lists for so long. My brother, he has autism and ADHD. I have a younger brother who's about 10, and he has a lot of stuff, and he's still they've been trying to get him diagnosed so that he can get an IEP, so that he could get proper help in school and proper everything. And it took him over 3 years to get diagnosed, while they were paying to have it fast-tracked.
Wow.
And, like, paying to get it.
Even while they were paying, like, an upgrade.
Yeah, just to try to.
Because the infrastructure is just so different. Right. I know. We actually do take for granted the fact that, our society, I think there's a lot wrong with a lot of things, but, like, mental health has become more normalized, and it's a marketplace. See, if you can make money, that's all that matters. I think it's changed a lot when, like, BetterHelp ads are on TikTok. Yeah. And, like, people are like, I'm just using my phone to, like, get help and I can pay. I think I'm very happy that mental health is being more normalized. Body positivity is being obviously something that we will not be going back from, people.
Yeah, no, I see it happening all the time on TikTok. All of these trends on TikTok get me so mad, because I feel like so much now is even going back to and being even worse, just feeding into these different beauty standards and really telling girls, and specifically young girls, like, you need to do this, and this to, like, it gets me.
It gets you heated. Yeah.
That's one thing that gets me heated.
You're like, I'm going to take that mask off, bitches. Yeah. I mean, do you feel like, though, actually, interesting question. Do you feel like the part of you that's behind that mask, like, can come out through your art that you're making, the music sometimes too? Because I know that we talk about the satire music that you're making, the comedy, kind of like the Bo Burnham, like all of this sort of, it's almost like a response, but also a commentary on on TikTok or on social media as a whole. Do you feel like that part of you is coming out in that art?
I mean, definitely not, because I feel like with all of that performance art that I did specifically with the My Crown project, it was really satire of how other people perceived me on the internet, because they just saw me as this dumb girl who, even though I preached, like, self-love and self-confidence and all those different things, people would still be like, oh my gosh, she's so full of herself, like, she's just so obsessed with herself. So, like, when there's lyrics like, I'm better than everyone else, I obviously did not feel that way. That was just how other people perceived me, as thinking that I'm always, like, better than everyone. Like, no.
Yeah, it is. It's hard for people to truly not. It's weird when people are commenting. I think they're also trying to be a part of the ruse. Like, they want to act like a troll. It's not even that they really think that. It's like they're just, something in them wants to engage with content in that negative way. It's the ego.
It's
like
the mob mentality, the ego. Like, they just, I don't know what was so fascinating about it to other people fully, but also I do. But it shocked me at how many people would just hop on a hate train for fun, especially when I was 17 at the time. Like, the whole thing was that there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was all just like silly and
so
fun.
Many followers.
Yeah.
It's like you could have done that without that many followers and it would have stood alone as its own art or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's hard for people to acknowledge, even like A-list actors. They want to hate on influencers or TikTokers or what we should call them as creators, because it takes a lot of work and time and production value to like film things. And I went to film school at Columbia. So like, and also I've been an actress since I was a little kid. So it's like, it actually is hard to self-produce this stuff.
Yeah.
And you make a lot more money when you're actually sponsored. Like, it's a huge body of work. Whereas Jennifer Aniston's like, okay, well, I'll just wait till my agent calls me for the next, rom-com that I'm going to do.
Yeah,
it's very different.
It's very much like you have to stay on it. Like the past year I've fallen out of it, and now getting back into it, even just with the algorithm with social media, because it moves as quickly as it comes, the even quicker that it can go. It goes so fast, and you have to really be on top of it 24/7. And I mean, with being a content creator, for the most part, like you're doing the lighting design, if you're doing your own hair, your own makeup, you're planning the content, you're editing it all.
Oh, and
like,
they need to be fire looks, right? Like
yeah.
You need to like, I am literally like always changing my shirt, but like legit, like I'm always trying to like stay up on, even if it's just a look, because the aesthetic of what you're doing matters just as much as what you're saying and what you're doing. It's very multi-layered.
Yeah, and it's like, as much as I love beauty and fashion, makeup and all that stuff, I love it. It is so draining all the time to do with social media.
Yeah.
It's like, I love it, and that's why I do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, damn.
Like, what's on the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then, we brushed over the time away that you had. And so can we just talk a little bit more about that experience? So you called a friend, you were like, I'm going to check in somewhere. Or do you have a place like that I can go? Or like, what was that?
It was, I called actually one of my managers, Tamima, and she was like, okay, let's get you in. Don't worry, I'll tell you what you need to do. So then I went to the hospital, because you have to go there first before going to the mental hospital. So then I was there, I got checked in, I was waiting. And because I don't have insurance over here in the US, it's not like I could go to a very nice hospital. They were trying to get me situated somewhere that wouldn't break the bank, and just the first one that had a bed open.
Okay.
So then I got transported. I was at the hospital for over 12 hours before they transported me to the mental hospital.
Okay.
So
Were you sedated essentially? Did they sedate you or no?
They basically, like, I was just like, I wasn't allowed to be alone. Like, I was just chilling in the bed. They let me still, like, I had like food and stuff. One of my friends came and visited.
Okay. But that's so interesting. So when we think of somebody who's checking them in, I think people think that they're violent, or they're what do they call it, belligerent, or they're on something or something like that. And then it's like this very like movie version of what mental health looks like, right? Like, or at least or like having a hard time mentally. Yeah. But like, this sounds very calm and very rational.
For me, I was just very calm and like very.
But maybe that's part of the problem too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was just like, oh, like let's go. I was just very calm and like very sad, and I was coming to terms with a lot of things, like, because a lot of it I hadn't said out loud before I went there, because I just kept everything so bottled up.
Yeah. And I'm assuming this is from, like, obviously you're 18, so it was obviously from when you were growing up that a lot of stuff happened that you needed to process, and that you are still processing, which is why we're not spilling tea today, people. But it is really a beautiful thing. And when we spoke, I was so happy to hear you being so vocal about it, because suffering in silence is what most people do. Even
it's the worst. I still kind of do it to this day. Like, I got out and I'm better at having open dialogue, but
you go back in.
Yeah,
I go back in your shell.
I go back in because it's like, I don't want to put that on anyone else. Like, what I'm dealing with is it's hard, because you need to find those safe people that you can be open and vulnerable with.
Yeah,
it's hard because it's not everyone, and it's not healthy for it to be everyone, you know?
Yeah. Well, look at there.
Yeah.
That's the neon sign right there. Yeah. So, okay. So then how many days did you stay? Like 30 or?
No, I was only there for about 3 days, and I actually asked if I could stay longer because I was.
You're like, don't let me back out there.
Yeah, I was like, don't let me back out there. Like,
Yeah.
I was enjoying the time away from my phone. It was really
shit,
nice.
yeah.
Like, yeah, because you don't have your phone or anything in there. And I mean, when I say it was not a very nice place, but I was still like, I just needed to be at peace and focus. It was nice because it isolated absolutely everything out from the outside world so that I could just focus on my mental health.
To watch the full podcast, check it out on the Vulnerable YouTube channel. And to listen to the full podcast, check it out on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.